Didn't want to miss that opportunity. So we're going to call this 25th Congress. What's that? We're running on battery?
No, recordings.
Oh.
Yeah. This is what I want.
Before we lose it.
You okay? Coming up?
Yeah.
Good. I had them on last night and then I turned them off and I forgot to turn them back on. I'm trying to remember, did we plug in the Wi-Fi? Apparently we did. Yeah, so we're working on it. All right. Okay, this is the, what, 10th or 11th session? It's the 11th session. 11th.
Don't you have power on here?
Yes, sir. Okay, so we didn't have the cover on. You are plugged in?
There, it's coming up.
Good. So this is the 11th session of the...
I'm glad I got people up here that remind me of things. Memory is a problem for me, okay? Not a problem with memory, it's a problem with recall.
Good memory, but it's short.
What's that?
Good memory, but it's short.
And so, I don't have the agenda up here, but I do have it. There we go. Can you all see that out there? I don't know whether you can read it, but that's the best we can do. So do you have somebody for the opening prayer?
He's not here right now. Frank Snell was going to volunteer to do it.
Bruce, the Wi-Fi is now plugged in.
It is now plugged in?
Yes.
I think, Bonnie Thomas, do you want to do the opening prayer?
Do I need a microphone?
Yes.
You don't mind if I kneel? So we come before our Maker. Heavenly Father, we thank you for what a merciful and mighty God you are. We thank you for being with us today. We thank you for the freedom and the liberty that you have given to us. It's holy because it cost your Son everything, who came from heaven above to be one of us, clothed in flesh, hung on a tree, and died for our sins to set us free from the slavery of the enemy. We are here, dear Lord, doing your work, your will to set our fellow man free. Pray that you bless this session, that you be with us every day, that you fill our hearts full of love for our fellow man, that you change us, that you make us more like you every day. Your will be done, your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. In Yeshua's precious name I pray. Amen.
I agree.
What's that?
What's on my phone?
Somebody else loses things.
I thought I set it back over there. Go ahead.
Okay, the chairman of this session is the Vice President and the President of the Senate, Mike Blackwell.
Okay, thank you. Our Sergeant of Arms, at Arms, today is D. Rudd. The record keeper for this session is President Billy Ford. On miscellaneous announcements, Randy Kelton will be the guest speaker starting at 2 p.m. this afternoon, and it will be an approximate 3-hour training session on how to hold our employees accountable using their statutory laws. And apparently, he's had great success and makes money at doing it. And him and Senator Ford have become buddies, I think, right?
Burn, you mean?
Oh, yeah, Vern.
Yeah, we're helping each other out,
Yeah.
and he's got a website, Rule of Law Radio, got a talk radio program. He's very good at what he does.
Okay, thank you. So, next item on the agenda is we want to identify any first-time guests who are here. Would you please raise your hand? And all right, we have quite a few. Dee Rudd's going to be coming around, and
I've already got it.
oh, you already got them. Wow. Okay. Would you please stand up one by one and just identify yourself and identify yourself, say where you're from, and
Dixie Boland from Browns County, Iowa, Texas.
we're going to pass the microphone around to each speaker, okay? So we're going to start over here since he's there.
Dean Miller, Benwheeler, Texas.
Kelly Hobbs from Burleson, Texas.
Dwight Boland, Iola, Texas.
Dixie Boland, Iola, Texas.
Bobby Lee Watt, Iowa, Texas.
Nice. Destiny Hallman, Waco, Texas.
okay, thank you. We're glad you're here. And
Recording in progress.
well, thank you for the first-time visitors. We're glad you're here, and we will be sending you an email or contacting you to see if we can assist in any manner. Mr. Bullock. So we're on number 6.
Number 6, okay. Where's my announcements at?
Why are we suddenly getting? You're at number 5. Okay, that's where we're at, right? Well, I already did the guess.
Turn down the input on the microphone behind you and we'll stop the feedback.
What's that?
On the message, turn the volume down for your microphone.
On this one? Is that it?
Is that any better? Can you still hear me out there? I'm not getting any feedback, that's good.
Okay, in announcements, Sergeant at Arms, were you going to make any announcements about the proceedings, or you're going to leave that to me? Okay. Okay, this is a session of Congress, and as such, the purpose of it is to take care of the business of the Republic of Texas. And during any discussion that we may be having on it, only the members of the Congress and anybody else that they invite to speak can speak, okay? Now, we're a little bit liberal in that rule, in that because we don't have representatives from every county, we do allow the
Texian people here to speak to the Congress. And in fact, we even allow guests that are just Texans, okay? And I say just Texans because that's all they are. They are subjects to the government, okay? And so we will allow you to speak. The rules are, for you to speak, you must have the microphone, and first of all, you must get acceptance to allow you to have the floor from the chairman. So if you want to speak, you need to raise your hand to call your attention. And if you're not getting the attention, then just speak your name, okay? Speak your name. And if that doesn't get the chairman's attention, it'll probably get mine, and I'll remind him to, hey, somebody out there wants to see if they can have the floor, okay? So, and we want to do this in an orderly fashion because we've been a little bit lax in the past, but we're going to stop doing that because we let the meetings run out of control with commentary, and a lot of it is repetitive, and we want to avoid that. If you've got something to say it one time and don't repeat it. And I know I might sound like a hard ass, but sometimes it's necessary. Okay? With that, and we've already taken care of the guests, so we'll move on to number 6.
Say again?
No, we're on oaths of office.
Yeah, we're on 6. Prior to continuing with any business, we need to have the Republic Secretary of State, Ken Barnett, take any oaths of newly elected and appointed office holders that they may be present. Since the Secretary of State is not present today, can Billy Ford, the President, give an oath of office? So we have one individual that wants to be a representative, and that's Kerry Foster. So, Mr. Ford, can you do that?
I actually think it would be better if Ms. Cartwright did that. She's the Chief Justice. I mean, I don't know that I can or not. The President never swore anybody in before, did he? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I did it one time up in Dallas, in Mesquite.
Okay, so it was legal?
You wasn't around.
Okay, all right, I can do that. I don't think I have a form for the oath of office. I'll have to get it off of the, I'll have to get it out of the Constitution and read it there, but I can do that. Mr. Brown has it.
Is Miss Cartwright here?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Where is she?
No.
Right here.
It's he.
Donna, do you have the paperwork for doing the oaths of office with you?
I don't think so. Let me check.
Money's probably got one. If you don't have it, Ms. Cartwright, we can take it off of the,
Yeah, why don't we do that? I don't think I have it, but I was just gonna look.
okay. Do you want to move ahead? Or no, we need that, we need that sworn in, so we'll take a
We can
minute.
come back to,
We'll go ahead and move to
roll call.
take the roll call. Yeah.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the roll call for the 25th Congress on the Senate and House members. The Senate roll call will be done by myself, Mike Blackwell, President of the Senate. Lloyd Zant.
Present.
Thank you. Don Ballard. Taylor Rudd.
Present.
Troy Burris.
He's on Zoom?
Thank you, Troy. Dwayne Williams. Ed Branham.
Here.
Thank you. Glenn Fern.
Here.
Thank you. So we have five present. That's a quorum.
Did we say 3 of 5?
And we have 5 of 7.
5 of 7, I'm sorry. So we do have a quorum.
Okay, for the House of Representatives, from Bexar County, Jonathan Ator. Bexar County, Jonathan Ator. Absent. From Brazoria County, Tom Bailey. From Brazoria County, Tom Bailey. Absent. Also from Brazoria County, Bruce Bolock, present. From Harris County, John Bernard. From Harris County, John Bernard. Absent. From Harris County also, Joyce L. Means. Joyce L. Means, Harris County. Absent. From Fannin County, Michael Ellis.
I think he's here.
They can't see you on TV.
Howdy.
On the monitor. Okay. So, present. From Travis County, Carmen, we've got Vic Nair here, and that is correct, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, it's Seneschal. You got that wrong. It's supposed to be Carmen Seneschal. Carmen Seneschal, Travis County. Absent. From Robertson County, Darren Taylor.
Present.
Present. From Austin County, Kevin Winkins.
Present.
Present. So the House of Representatives has 1, 2, 3, 4 present, and we do not have a quorum. Okay, are we ready to go back to you, Mr. Ford?
Yes, sir.
Wait a second, Mr. Ford.
One thing I wanted to do, well, we got 2 cameras here working. I got one that I'd like somebody to man and to, what's the matter?
It's not recording. It says the memory's full.
I just put in a new card.
I don't know what to tell you.
Okay, I know what to do.
It does not know that.
But when I get this thing running,
I'd like somebody to come up and run it, but also move it to whoever the action is, okay? So,
When I get that done, I'll ask somebody to do that.
go ahead, Mr. Ward.
Okay, Mr. Foster, except as provided amended by Article 2, except as provided in the 1836 Constitution, each and every one elected or appointed to a government position before entering into their duties must take and subscribe the following oath or affirmation to wit. State your full name. Are you willing to take this oath? The proper answer is, I am willing. Mr. Foster, are you willing to take this oath?
I am willing.
Then repeat after me. I
I, Harry Foster,
do solemnly declare,
do solemnly declare,
by my own word in hand,
by my own word in hand,
without reservation,
without reservation,
to the people of Texas,
to the people of Texas,
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of,
Representative Robertson County,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
defend,
defend,
and obey
and obey
the Constitution
the Constitution
and the laws
and the laws
of the Republic of Texas.
of the Republic of Texas.
So help me Almighty God.
So help me Almighty God.
Also, except as provided in the 1836 Constitution, each and every one elected or appointed to a government position before entering into their duties must take and subscribe the following oath or affirmation to wit. You state your full name. Are you willing to take this oath? The proper answer is, I am willing. Are you willing to take this oath, Mr. Foster?
I am willing.
Then repeat after me. I
I, Harry Foster,
do solemnly declare.
do solemnly declare.
Wait a minute, I think this is the same one. This is the different. I have to find it. You took the oath of office, and we have an oath to the Constitution. I haven't found it yet. Mr. Randall, do you know where it is?
I have to look for it, just like you're doing.
Okay.
It should be one of them blues.
That's what I thought. It's not here. This is, I don't have my copy. This is the same one. They're the same.
No, I gotta get it, so I
Okay.
can get it. Don't put it. This is working.
Here it is, I got it. Okay, sorry about that. Mr. Foster, it's not in blue, it's in black right here. We'll go back to the same thing. Are you willing to take this oath?
I am willing.
Then repeat after me. I
I, Harry Foster,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of my office.
of my office
And to the best of my ability,
to the best of my abilities,
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
defend,
defend,
and obey
and obey
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the Republic.
of the Republic of Texas.
That's good. That'll work. Thank you, Colonel. Congratulations.
What county is he?
Roberts.
Robert.
And you can add him on your
Officially take a seat.
official roll.
What time?
He'll be number 5. Will that give you a form? I don't think it will, will it?
5 of 9.
Oh, it's not good.
Oh, 5 of 10, I guess.
Okay, we're going to look for a motion. I'm not going to bring up those minutes. They've been sent to everybody. You've had an opportunity to review them. You let them in? Tina? You let them in? You've had the opportunity to review them. The Senate can approve them from the Senate side. The House is going to have to approve them as soon as they can get a quorum at a meeting. And to be quite truthful with you, I'm going to tell you, I'm very embarrassed with the attendance of the House of Representatives. And if it doesn't get any better, they need to fire the Speaker of the House. Okay. Is there a motion from the Senate to approve these minutes?
I'll motion it.
Motion from Taylor Rudd,
Second by Ed.
second by Mr. Branham. Any discussion? Seeing none. All those in the favor of approving those minutes signify by saying yay.
Yay.
Only the Senate could vote. Okay. I'm going to ask the senators to raise their hand if they approve. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4. Is there a fifth one in here? Or is there only 4?
No, there's 5.
There's 5? Who's the fifth one?
He's not on Zoom. Troy Burke.
Oh, Troy. Troy, how do you vote? I'm going to say he abstains since he's not responding. Okay, so those minutes are passed by the Senate. Again, the House has to approve them in more than likely a Zoom session yet later this month. Okay.
Next item on the agenda is an update on the International Committee by Chairman of the International Committee, Billy Ford, or other committee members. Mr. Ford.
Our committee's still meeting on Monday evenings at 7 o'clock and go to 9. Sometimes we run over that a little bit, not a problem, but we've kind of hit a stalemate in our international committee. We've got studying some other things. Anybody's invited to attend that meeting. It starts at 7 o'clock and it's done by Zoom. And the Zoom number is, the identification number is 337-315-4464. If you want to attend, call it, just load your Zoom and ask you for a meeting ID, and that's the number you get on. 337-315-4464. Mr. Bullock, would you like to, Mr. Foster and Mr. Bullock have both been on that committee, and would y'all like to add anything?
No, not right now.
Okay.
I'll add just one comment, and that is anybody is allowed to join us in that meeting. It's an opportunity to learn a lot about the law, government, and finding out all of the fraud that's been going on with government going all the way back to 1776. Yes, ma'am.
Can I get that code one more time?
The Zoom code,
Yes, sir.
you want to repeat it, Mr. Ford?
Yes, sir. It's 337-315-4464.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And so, you're invited to join, and if you have signed in and put a legible email address that I can read, I will add you to the list if you want to be added to be invited to that committee meeting. It's every Monday at 7 p.m. Every Monday, 7 p.m. that we do that. And so, if you want it to be, if you want me to send you an invitation, then go back to that sign-in sheet and ask to be added to the International Committee meeting. Okay? Are we done with that item? I guess.
Mr. Bullock, I would like to take just a minute. In the absence of Mr. Barnett, he's away on a trip, and he asked me if I would prepare the ballots for him for our upcoming election, the first Monday in September. And so I have the ballots ready. What I need from everybody that's looking for office is this application for government office form. If you want to have an office and be on the ballot, I have to have this. Doesn't mean you can't be elected or appointed, but it means that we have to go back and have a special election later on to make it right and get you in office. But I need these from all the representatives. All the representatives are going to have to do this every year, and I've got a few for the senators. I'll check that. You might want to check with me and see who's up for election this time, and I'll see if we can. And Mr. Bullock, you might even have that.
Well, we've got item number 14 on the agenda. We're going to be talking about the election.
Okay, I didn't see that. I just got the agenda a few minutes ago. So. Okay, that's good. And I'll relinquish my forward.
Okay. The Technology/Public Relations Committee update. The purpose of that committee is to be looking at technology that will help us promote the Republic of Texas to the general public. Okay? We haven't been so successful with it in that apparently we haven't done an adequate job of getting the information out to the people. Those of you that are here, that may be here for the first time, I'm interested in knowing what attracted you here. Would anybody like to speak to that? If you would, raise your hand and I'll have them bring a microphone to you.
I heard about
State your name, please.
Bobby Lee Watt. I heard about it just by word of mouth from Billy Ford. I was attending a Bible study and we were talking and he mentioned it and it pricked my ears when I heard it and I've always wanted to find out more. Of course, Billy's my neighbor, but you know how they do. We help each other with the fence with this. But anyway, I kept my ears out, and I honestly, other than that, I haven't been able to get much information until today.
I think anybody that's speaking would appreciate it that we not have any other conversations going on here. If you've got to talk to somebody, please walk out of the room. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Dwight Bolin. What got me here was we ran into an altercation, and Brazos and Grimes County with some police and sheriffs and God knows what else. But I thought maybe we ought to see Billy Ford and maybe he could find somebody who might be able to help us out. God willing, that'll happen. That's why I'm here.
Thank you.
But also I think other people need to know some of the information even that I have. I'm starting to irritate some judges.
Hey, that's good. Join Glenn over here. Anybody else want to comment?
This isn't my first time here, it's the second. But the reason I came is because 35 years ago, being a native Texan, third generation, I made a statement to a group of men. I think Texas needs to secede from the Union, take over Mexico, and go get Castro out of Cuba. Well, I got a few funny looks when I made that statement. That's 35, 40 years ago. Then I heard about the fact that the Republic of Texas might be a better idea than seceding from the Union. Hello? Is that you? And when I found out about it, I began to do a little research, came across some people involved, including Mike. And, I had a conversation, went from conversation to writing down together last month. And I've been promoting the Republic of Texas ever since. And want to know more about it, get more involved, and I think it's imperative, if anything's going to happen, that we've got to get a lot of people involved, a lot of people interested, and substantiating the viability of the Republic of Texas.
Frank, there are people here that don't know who was speaking, so would you announce your name?
Let me see if I can remember it.
I'm trying to help you.
Look at my name badge. Oh, I forgot it. Sorry. I go by Frank. And I think Mike Lindell stole my name to do his website or his platform. It's called Frank's Speech.
I thought it was Mr. Pillow.
Yeah, it's Mike Pillow. Is that Mike Lindell? I don't think it's taken off that well. I was at the Religious Broadcaster Association conference in Grapevine a couple of weeks ago, and he had a big booth there. And I just went up, and he wasn't there at the booth, but a lot of other people were. And I said, just tell Mike that I thank him for using my name because my popularity has really risen lately.
And there was a couple of ladies or people over here that had their hands up that wanted to speak. If they bring them forward from Mr. Okay, I guess we got Taylor running around now.
My name is Destiny Hallman, and I got involved through Frank. Someone referred me. But it really interests me because, I'm a patriot. I believe in my rights, the Constitution, and now I'm learning. I've started reading more. I'm a Texas bride, born and raised, so I'm very, very interested in learning more about the Texas side of it, and also educating and trying to get the youth involved. People my age, we've kind of set back and we don't realize how important it really is to get involved and to understand what's really going on behind the scenes and how important our freedom is. So that's what I hope to do, is learn a whole lot more. Amen.
My name is Francine Henson, and I'm here with two other individuals from Dallas. But we first heard about this through Telegram, through Glenn Fern. So that is one media platform to continue using, is the Telegram. And we've been able to share that with other people, so keep that up.
Hello, my name's Robin Edwards, and I decided to stand up and hold the microphone just to let you know that I was listening to a video of Charlie Ward and Ann Vandersteel 2 nights ago. And I don't know if you know them, they talk about the truth and what's happening. Ann Vandersteel was talking about herself doing some research on becoming a national. And that pricked my ears, and I thought, well, that's this. And she kept talking about it, but she didn't elaborate. And then she finally started to elaborate and talking about getting out of the corporation, getting out of the system and gaining your identity and your real freedom back. And I thought, well, this is great, because she's starting to talk about it on a more popular platform that gets many, many views. And I just thought that's somewhere where maybe you guys could reach out to her and let her know that this actually exists. Because I don't know that they know it exists, but the only way that they will know is if someone reaches out and lets them know we're here. So people are starting to talk about it on a more, I won't say it's mainstream, but it's much more mainstream than what has been in the past. So I just thought I'd let you know.
You're not from this part of Texas. I have keen discernment.
Parents. Mr. Congressman, you didn't raise your hand to be.
But I love freedom.
My name's Steve Parnell. I'm from Watauga. Some of you know that from 8 miles north of downtown Fort Worth. Anyway, but I lived 40 years in Midland and only recently moved to that part of the state up there. But I can tell you if this stuff was brought out in the oil field to some of the old line people out there, if it's not already, it should be, because you're missing the gold mine out there. Those people get behind an idea, they ride that horse till it goes down. So please consider that a suggestion. Also, you mentioned it. You have a lack of youth. That was the first thing I noticed when I came in here. That's these ladies here, the first person I saw that, you know, I was including you. But no, I mean, you know, you don't see anybody 30s and 40s in here. And you all got sons and nephews and whatever. If you're not making an effort to get to your own family, get over here. There's where you start. I got a little quick story. I've got it. 970 AD in Ireland, my ancestor was a married Catholic priest with the Pope's blessing. I'm not Catholic, I'm just telling you this as a fact. But they decided that if they were going to propagate the Catholic Church in Northern Ireland, the priests were going to have to marry and have a big family. That big family grew that congregation, and there we are. So, talk to your kids, talk to your grandkids, talk to your nephews and nieces. Get them here.
David, go ahead.
Yes, this is in my district, Midland. Any way that I can help you, anybody I need to go over there and visit with, we'd be happy to work with you. Dee is my wife, and she's got a card, or get me and I'll give you a card. We'll help you any way we can. Okay? By the way, I'm also a rookie, so you'll have to overlook some of mine.
As far as that goes, we're all rookies here, okay? We aren't practicing governing. We're learning it on the job. Glenn, you need a microphone over here.
So more people have showed up, come in that might want to introduce themselves. Vince, I think, have you been here before?
First time.
Yeah, right. So we're just asking about people that are here for the first time and what brought them here and that kind of stuff.
Well, I started coming to Glenn's weekly meeting there in Bedford, and you know, I just like the information. I'm truly grateful for the information that's been shared by this man, and I have a lot of respect. So thought I'd come down here and be a fly on the wall, but apparently I'm not going to be a fly on the wall, so here I am, guys. My name's Vince. I've never met a stranger, so come on, and say hi. You know, love you and God bless.
Welcome, Vince. I hear a lot of good stuff about Glenn's group, and I appreciate what Glenn's been doing for years now. Doing a great job there. We all should be doing about the same thing.
Okay,
I have
okay, go ahead.
I'd like to comment on the fact that Senator Taylor Rudd told me the other day that he has his live stream capability up and running.
Yes, I do.
And so the idea, the plan is that Taylor's out of Lubbock, but we're going to start doing live stream interviews of different people to share information. A couple people that have agreed to be interviewed: Senator Glenn Fern, Council General Bonnie Thomas, myself, and we're working on a couple others. So hopefully we'll have these live streams as often as Senator Taylor will put up with this, and we can rotate the speakers so that we're doing live streams all the time. And how many people did you think you could get?
We get up into 1,000 or so, and some of the events that we've done are international, so we even reach even the international at times. We're not that big, but at times we are, and our whole intent here is to not only educate myself and my wife, but to educate the people about the Republic of Texas, and that's what I meant with you. Whatever we can do in Midland, Texas, we'd be happy to work with you. And that's all the intent is. It will not only help me, but we are finding as we are going about in our district that people are very, very interested in the Republic of Texas. I'm telling you, it's broad and wide. It really is. People, not only in Texas, but in this territory, what they call the USA, which is Republic of the United States of America, is what it should be. But they want freedom, and they want to know, and it's here. I mean, I don't mean to get on a soapbox, but but I'm telling you, it's here, and I'm so ashamed that I haven't learned this before now. And thanks to you, Mike, you're the one that I've learned it from. You're the one that opened this door up for me. So I thank you for that. So again, yes, that's all our live stream's about. It is just to help people understand that we do have freedom, and we should take it. I mean, we should not take this laying down. I'm telling you. I don't mean we need to start a war. I don't want to start a war, but we should stand up for our rights. I'm telling you,
Agreed.
I mean,
Okay, thank you.
that's why I carry a knife.
So, 1,000 people per live stream, that's exciting. So,
Yes, sir. I want to thank everybody that is coming here for the first time. We really want to thank you. I've been here about a year now. If you've been down a rabbit hole at all, that's the reason why you're here in the first place. And so, speaking to the youth is the hardest one because we've been indoctrinated the longest. So until we become undoctrinated, it's hard to address the youth. We've got to stand up for it. That's the whole function, and trying to guide the International Committee is to guide it, because we have Glenn Fern here and several others that are learning the steps and processes in order to separate ourselves legally from this corporation. That's the big hang-up, is we've got to learn how to do it legally and consistently as a group. And that's what we're trying to focus on, and on how to get that separation and make it as quick and seamless as possible so that we don't have any hiccups or interruptions. With that being said, the important thing is the community of people here reaching out. You see everybody here, you need to get everybody's name and number, you need to have it down, because when one person goes in trouble, we all need to come rally as best as possible to that person. That's the only way we can stand up as a republic, is we have to have the people of the republic stand up to those that get in trouble by their corporation. That's the key thing here, is we got to separate from that corporation. And I thank you for your time.
Some good comments there, that's good.
Yeah.
And that's what needs to happen here, is we need people that not only come here and listen, but also come and comment, okay? And we need people to become active in what we're doing, all right? We need people to become active. Because we're telling you that we've got things to do, doesn't mean that we can do them ourselves. We need help doing them. We need help doing them. And it's time for people to start stepping up and being active if they want freedom and liberty. It doesn't come freely. It comes from hard work, okay? And we need to be doing that. All of us need to be doing it. If that's what you want for your families, for your children, because right now they're in jeopardy, in deep jeopardy of losing it to communism. If we don't start getting involved in doing things, not simply complaining about it, okay? And so, anyways, getting back to the internet or to the technology committee, our responsibilities are, amongst other things, primarily using technology to further our message out there, to further our message. Oh, Ann, I never saw you walk in. Welcome. But your dog reminded me that you might be here. Okay, next item. Go ahead, Glenn.
Well, I'm on the technology committee, and I would just like to talk about we have, Ed sent me all of the conference call YouTube videos. I've been uploading a lot of YouTube videos lately. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 of them that haven't even published yet, that are waiting to publish. I put them about 2 days apart so that people get a chance to watch one and then the next one comes along. We have right now, we've got, just looking to see how many subscribers we've got. We've got 1,546 subscribers. So that's 1,500 people that are notified by YouTube every time there's a new video. We have, and then we have some revenue. And this was an email that I forwarded out recently because a couple months ago, or maybe it was 3 months ago, we went and set up an alternative payment, a bank account to have the revenue from our YouTube channel go to. And what they do is they send a couple very small deposits, and then we have to check the bank account when those deposits show up, and then notify them what the deposits were, and then they'll validate that account that way, so that they can send our money to us through that account. And we didn't follow up on it. And that's the emails that I sent that you both were getting. Right now we've got $211 in there that's available. That's not a lot of money, but I'm sure we can use it. And I'd like to see us buy some silver with it at least. And so right now we've got that much in there, and we've also got if it gets to be over $100, there'll be a payout. Let me go back to, here, this is where it is. We also have, currently for this month, we've got about 40 bucks in revenue. So when it gets to be $100, if it paid out, it would pay out $211 right now. And every time it gets to be 100 bucks, and the more subscribers we get, the more people we get watching our videos, the more often it'll get to be over $100. It won't send out a payout if it's not $100. And so, this is a source of fake money that we can use, and we certainly need to get a finance committee. I was talking to Bruce about that. That's a committee of people that are trying to do things to raise money, and because we certainly need that as well. Anyways, that's my report on the YouTube channel. I send out videos, not videos, I send out emails from our email address. I'm sure you've been getting them. Matter of fact, I know you've been getting them, Ed, because you came back and said, "What's this for?" Well, you're on the list. And so I send out an email about all the videos. The problem is I can't set out too many. Right now, I've got 15 drafts. That's 15 videos that some of them are already published, but I haven't sent emails out because Google, if I send out more than 500 emails in a day, they'll start bouncing them. And so I have to wait 24 hours, minimum 24 hours before I can send out more videos, or they'll start bouncing them. So I have to, it's just a matter of being patient. And so right now I've got 15 drafts of emails for videos for starting the 28th of October. I've got all the videos that you sent me uploaded though. They're all, I've made them into videos and they're uploaded. And so, and they're publishing. They're on a schedule to publish. And so whether I send out emails or not, they'll publish. And but I like to send out emails too because all those people on our email list have already expressed an interest. And anybody that I get any new email addresses, anybody that contacts us, I add them to the email list. So that's our YouTube channel report. And we need to, if we want to get paid, we got to set up that banking, and we have to be hot on top of that. What happened is it was a couple months ago when we did that, and let's see if I can find that. Yeah, it was January. It was January 22nd. They sent us a reminder to verify the bank accounts, and we didn't do it. And so now, we're going to have to do it again. I'm not sure that they're going to want to be doing that because every time they got to make it's a little deposit. It might be 17 cents and 23 cents or something like that, or 9 cents. But we got to tell them what those deposits were. And if we don't do that, it ain't going to happen. And after a period of time, it expires. So then you got to start over again. So, it's up to you. I'm not a babysitter. We're all adults here, so we need to take care of business. Anyways, that's my report.
Mr. Ford?
Oh, Mr. Brown? Wait a minute, Brown.
On the technology call the other night, it came up that we would like to have a microphone put out here where people could walk up to it and where we wouldn't have to pass these microphones all around all the time. Just have one microphone.
That's a good idea.
That $211 probably buy that. Otherwise, we'll spend it on silver and you won't have it.
Well, an advantage of having a microphone there is if anybody wants to speak, they have to walk up to the microphone and they will get your attention.
I have one, and I'll go get it right now.
Mr. Ford? When I got the email, I didn't know what it was. I had this, once before I sent this in, all our information asked for all kind of stuff. And I sent it in and it didn't happen. And I let that go by. I've got the information, and if Glenn will help me today, we can figure out, he can tell me what I got to do to get that done. I have those marked, and I can send that, come into the Secretary of State's account, the Yellow Rose account. So we can get that in there, that's not a problem. But I brought everything I needed for that, and so it's there on the statement. So if you got a little time later on, maybe right after lunch, we'll do it. You show me what I got to do, and I can get it done.
Well, but it's gonna take more than today because we're gonna have to do the deposits again, and that's gonna take a few days for the deposit to show up in the account, and you need to check the account, and then you need to tell me how much the deposits were. Like there's gonna be two, so you gotta tell me the first deposit and the second deposit. They have to be in the right order, and I gotta put them in AdSense. I need to go into AdSense, which it won't take me long to do that, but I need to have that information to put it in there so that they can validate the account. And then they'll send us that $211. But until then, that's the way it's, so it's going to take more than just today. I mean, we can probably set it up to do another deposit, but that's about all we can do at this point. If you have access to that account, you can give me, we'll see what happens when we go there. They might still, we might be able to put that information in there. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Okay, I've got it, and I've got all those things, so we'll just try it and see. I'm not smart enough to do it. The last time I did it, it didn't even get anywhere, so.
I know you had a lot of hassle with PayPal.
Yeah, thank
There was a lot of hassle with PayPal, and I'm glad we're not doing PayPal, because I hate PayPal.
I vote yes. We hate PayPal. Are we talking about a merchant account? Are we talking about a merchant account?
Yeah.
Patch your feet there.
Go in front of the table.
That's a good idea.
So you don't trip when you back out.
There you go. Good idea. All right. It's in.
Your wish is my command. All you have to do is put those trust in before you. Whoever needs to use the mic, just switch. Whoever needs to use the mic, just flip the switch off.
Hey, thank you. Senator Fern, would you, for people that may not know, would you share the various websites that are your websites that you use to teach, but also the Republic of Texas websites that they can go to?
Well, there's, it's called thetexasrepublic.com, which is our Republic of Texas website. We've also got a YouTube channel. It's just called Republic of Texas. And there's a bunch of YouTube channels that are called Republic of Texas. So it'll be the one that has our Republic of Texas seal on it. If you do a search for it, it'll come up with the seal. And that's ours. It's a blue seal with the Republic of Texas and a star in the middle. And so that's the one that's our Republic of Texas. Are you talking about my personal ones or just the Republic of Texas ones?
Both.
Okay. Well, I've also got my YouTube channel. It's called Sovereign Living, all one word. I've got over 400 videos that I've uploaded. They talk about the law, and it's based on different topics. For example, I've uploaded recently videos with where we have, and you gave me credit for these meetings that we've been having in Bedford, but actually Darren is the guy that deserves the credit for that. And he's sitting back there, and he's got a sign out in front of his house that says Trump won, and his phone number, and people call him up, and that's a lot of these people are people that have come to those meetings. And so every Tuesday at noon we have a meeting, and there's a bunch of people that are activists there that are interested in, that don't want to take the jab, and that they're fighting with school boards and all this stuff, and so a lot of people at these meetings, they talk about that stuff. Sometimes I'll do a presentation. We've had Randy Kelton there, and so some of the videos that I've got are I've got some recent videos that I've uploaded with Randy Kelton talking about what he does. My biggest thing nowadays is that I go out to the bar members. That's probably the single most important thing that you can do. I mean, these bar members are all foreign agents of the Roman cult, and they're foreign. They got no business being here. They have an oath of office, and the Supreme Court regulates the bar. So I don't care what kind of problem you got. I guarantee you there's a bar member behind it, okay? And so, like if I get a city, okay, that stops me and gives me a ticket for speeding, I'll go on the city's website and find out who the city attorney is. And 9 times out of 10, that city attorney is part of a law firm. And so I'll file a bar grievance against that city attorney, and then I'll file another bar grievance against all the partners on the law firm, okay? Because they're all responsible, they're all feeding off of that graft that city is stealing from people. And I'll find out 9 times out of 10, that same law firm will have a, the prosecutor will be on that law firm too. So you go and read through all of the attorneys that are in there, and 9 times out of 10 you'll find the prosecutor there too. So you bar grieve him. And just to give you a recent bar grievance that I went and put together, this is actually not a bar grievance against a lawyer. Actually, let me find one for a lawyer. These are lawyers. They're all bar grievances against lawyers. But here we go. This guy, his name is Wayne Olson. Okay, he's one of the partners in a law firm called Taylor Olson Adkins Sorella Elam. Okay, so there's 6 partners. That means 6 bar grievances. And I this is one thing I learned from Randy Kelton. Okay, because at the beginning of the bar grievance, I'll fill out their form, and then I print this at the back, which is my complaints. And I started off by, in the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, because I am bringing up a bunch of felonies that bar member is involved in. And then I say, as a direct descendant of the founders of the Constitution of the United States of America and one of the posterity found in the preamble, by right of blood, I hereby declare Wayne Olson's an officer of the court and deemed to know the law. Wayne Olson's a city attorney for the city of Euless. Wayne Olson is general counsel for the Tarrant County 911 district. That's all found on their website. Wayne Olson's a partner in the law firm Taylor Olson Adkins Sorella Elam LLP and responsible for the actions of everybody in the firm. And then it starts, and this is a requirement if you want to make a criminal complaint against somebody. This is how it's done. You start off and you say, I have reason to believe and do believe. Every statement. So I have a reason to believe and do believe that Wayne Olson intends to interfere with a 911 call in violation of Texas Penal Code 42.062, especially since he's general counsel for the Tarrant County 911 district, and he's also city attorney for the city of Euless and the city of Euless military police. I always call them military police because that's what they are. The city of Euless military police assaulted me because I was traveling with a homemade Republic of Texas plate on my private conveyance, and I dialed 911. And the city of Euless military police intercepted the call, and I demanded the Tarrant County sheriff come to the scene of the assault. And the Euless military police refused to get the Tarrant County sheriff. And this is exactly what Wayne Olson intends. And so I bring up felonies, lots of felonies. This one, I could sit here and read this thing for the next probably couple hours. It's got a total of 30. Wow, there's quite a few here. 39 paragraphs. Each one is a felony. Okay? Piracy, war crimes. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, and you have to understand what happens is this thing goes to the state bar. The state bar is regulated by the Supreme Court. They know the law. And I'm making it in a form of a criminal complaint. And, you know, I've done a lot of bar grievances. I've probably done about 50 at least in the last year or so, and they used to send them back to me saying that we reviewed this and it doesn't articulate any breaches of the code of ethics, and so we're calling this a complaint and we're sending it back to you. They always send a copy to the bar member, okay? And so, anyways, well, lately since I've been doing it this way, which is it's something that Randy didn't directly suggest, but it's basically how to do a criminal complaint, which he's telling me how to make criminal complaints. And so, anyways, since I've been doing it this way, they haven't been sending them back to me. Well, that tells me that they're investigating them now.
You hope.
Well, we hope. Yeah, that's true.
Glenn, can I interrupt you, please?
Okay, go ahead.
You're mentioning Randy Kelton. We're going to have him here this afternoon for 3 hours of comments coming from him. Actually, he's got a 6-hour speech that he wants to give us, and we can only allow him 3 hours this week, or this month, and he'll be coming back in August for the second 3 hours of it. And the reason I'm interrupting you is we need to have enough time to get done through with this agenda and be able to allow him to have his 3 hours. So if I can interrupt you and stop that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you guys wanted to know about what I'm doing to help people get free, and I can tell you that, and I can show you, if I had here, I had a criminal case going on in Tarrant County Criminal Court 3, and that case has disappeared. It's not there anymore, and I can show you an image of their computer screen because I was doing some research for Randy Kelton down there, and it's not there anymore. And I filed bar grievances against Sharon Wilson, against the assistant district attorney. I filed bar grievance against Ken Paxton. I filed, and plus I went and there's a bunch of things that I've done. And all of a sudden the case disappeared. And the last thing I filed was a 1-page document, and it said, U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, I'm not a United States citizen, I am a Texas national. And that's all it says, under penalty of perjury. And it says, and I demand that you dismiss this case immediately. That's the last thing I filed. And all of a sudden it's gone. Anyways, but that's fine. I agree. You need to keep moving on this and get this done. So there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. All you need is one reason why they don't want to talk to you anymore, and it'll all go away.
Well, you know, Glenn, I think you've got plenty of good information to share with us, and I would suggest that in one of these future open public sessions in the afternoon, that we schedule you as the first speaker there, and you'll have the floor to tell us everything. Okay? Thank you.
I have a question for Glenn. Glenn, would you be willing to hold a class to teach us how to write a writ of habeas corpus? Because I personally have found the need to write one in the most duress style of conditions of confinement myself. There's a lady here today, and I don't want to embarrass her, but there's no reason to be embarrassed. We're targeted when we love liberty. This lady's been a victim of a serious crime here in this county where she was confined for 14 years for assaulting a police officer. He never had a scratch on him. The local judge here in this county refused to give her a trial by jury. 2 bar card holders refused to tell her about her liberty interest in a trial by jury and told her all she could do was take a plea deal of 15 years. She never touched a police officer. This woman was confined 14 years, never touched a soul. She's a gentle, sweet spirit. She was sent to TDJC, beaten by other inmates, suffered severe hardship, working slave labor out in the field with blisters on her hands.
Bonnie, can I give you one more minute to do
Yes.
this?
They seized her and confined her again recently, this spring, for 60 days. While she was confined, I taught her how to write a writ of habeas corpus. She was released within a week. They would have kept her in confinement continually. We have got to know how to write a writ of habeas corpus for our own personal protection. Because you may not have access to an attorney if you're confined and you don't know how to write a writ. And I know, Glenn, you're very well seasoned on how to do that, and I would love for you to hold a class, maybe next month, and I'm happy to help you.
Actually, I don't have a problem doing that. I think Randy Kelton's the guy
Right.
for that. And number one, and number two, it's more than just writing it, because you got to force the issue.
Right.
You got to know
How to write a writ of mandamus.
how to get it in there.
Right.
And what Randy does is he goes to the clerk and he says, The courts are open 24 hours.
We are totally off of the agenda here, okay? If you've got to have this discussion, you can have it personally. You
Well,
don't need to have this in front of everybody.
We do want to have a class in the future on this. And it's to set the people free and keep the people free and keep the people free. But I would love for you to teach a class, Randy, myself. I'm happy to also help in any way I can. All right, I yield.
I'm trying to be as kind as I can.
I
I've
yield.
got a responsibility to get this meeting taken care of.
Go on now. I don't want to see you when you get mad.
Okay. Where are we on the agenda?
Item 13. No, item 12.
Item 12.
No, item 11.
11. Okay, you want to take care of that?
Next item on the agenda is discussion on a proposal to offer honorary Texian dual national status to foreign nationals desiring to become Texans. This is a general idea and just want to comment. We're not going to be voting on it. And Senator Taylor Rudd would be presenting the idea.
Thank you, Mike. As we're going about, me and we did let me just go back a little bit. We did a proclamation at a event. It was a pretty large event here last month. In fact, that's where we was at while we couldn't be here. But when we got through with that, Dee had a lot of people that was inquiring about the Republic of Texas, and they're not within our territory, in our boundaries. And I know if I want to get a dual citizenship in another country, there's some countries that would allow me. And I think it would be to our advantage if we could allow other people in other states and other parts of the country or the world to be either honorary or have a dual citizenship, and I prefer more of a dual citizenship if we legally can do that than an honorary. I think it'd be to our advantage to do this. We need to get numbers, and that's one way we can get the numbers. Okay, so here you go, Ed.
We've talked about it before, but I would rather have a way to just make them a temporary Texian national. The international law on dual citizenship, you have to pick where you're going to vote at, either this side or that side. I don't know how you're going to, like you sign somebody up from Kansas, how you're going to tell them they can vote in Texas.
Well, no, you can't tell them that they can vote in Texas, because if you're giving them honorary citizenship, you're putting a condition on that, and that is they cannot vote in Texas.
That's not your citizenship.
Yeah, right.
It's a step toward becoming a Texian, okay? It's a step toward becoming a Texian, as I understand it, is if you're talking about people that live outside of the state of Texas. Well, yes, but we're also talking about people that may come from the Middle East or any place else in the world that want to get away from what they have there, and they want to come here and become a Texian. If we can offer that to them as an honorary Texian, then they can't vote. And that's being in compliance with international law. One of the conditions to become an honorary Texian, I almost said the foul word of citizen, that they can become one. And
years ago, we did the honorary deal. In fact, we had a little package set up. I think we charged $35 for it. People outside our territory could sign up as an honorary Texian, and we even sent a little package of Texas dirt. They wanted it, so we packaged up little packages of dirt and we sent them that.
Was that dirt on the governor or what?
Did we get a pound of flesh from one of the politicians?
No, we had one of the guys who donated 1 acre of land that that put their names in that 1 acre of land.
Okay, that's all. All right. You want to continue?
Well, yeah, Ed brought up about the voting. I mean, I don't know why we can't do a mail-in voting or something to that effect if we went to that level. I mean, I think Biden and Harris is very good at guiding us on how to do mail-in voting. I didn't say that, did I? I'm sorry. But anyway, it's just, that was my thought, Your Honor, is we do have a lot of interest outside this state, and I would like to see them, if they want to be a Texan, I'd like to see them to be able to be a Texan, because they are really sincerely very interested in what's going on, and that's understandable because of what's going on in our country. They want to be a part of this movement, and it's not a movement, but a part of this government. So anyway, that's about all I got to say about it.
Okay. Sir, this is a congressional discussion, and when the Congress is done discussing it, if you want to make a comment, you may. But until everybody's had an opportunity to speak here, you can't speak. Yes.
We've seen by the corporation entities that exist right now, and they're having dual citizenship with Israel and with America and stuff like that.
Yes.
And then we can have a dual citizenship, but you have to spend time there. They always have this regulation of spending time, whether it's 2 months, 6 months, whatever. And then you've got to go back to your original country. So as long as we have some kind of method for that to happen, and discuss it to where they have to occupy the Republic of Texas for a certain period of time, then we can address that better. Now, what kind of, do we want to set it up? Is it just a 2-week stay? Is it a 2-month stay? Or at what point are you overstaying your Texian aspect? You've got to go back to your home country of Kansas, whatever. So that's something we need to look at if that's what we're going to do.
The Constitution spells that out.
6 months, yeah. Well, 6 months to be a Texan national.
6 months, they got to live here for 6 months to become a Texian. How long do they have to keep occupying time here?
Doesn't say that after that.
I don't believe there is any qualification, because we don't have, right now, we don't have an honorary Texian position, if you will. And so therefore, there's nothing set up about whether they need to be here or not. I think what Kerry's asking for is, if we set this up, should we have something like that?
Well, if we have they have to live here for 6 months to become a Texian. So if we get somebody to move in, even temporarily, rent an apartment, they're here for 6 months, they can become a Texian. Then if they choose to move back to Kansas, then that's where this issue comes in. Well, are we making sure they're still a Texian? Can they still vote here? They gotta have some type of residency here, whether it be living with a friend or whatever, to recognize it in the Republic of Texas. I just want to make sure that everybody understands, because we get into the legal aspects of stuff, and we don't want to be construing something differently. We're representing the people of the Republic, and that's what we got to constantly remind ourselves is that we are volunteered to be these people's representatives, and we got to do what's best interest for them, not for us. So that's why I want to just contend on it.
Okay. Anybody else in the Congress want to comment? Glenn?
I think it's a good idea. I think that maybe somebody should put together a bill and then we could work it out, basically. But I think that when I was speaker and I had to go to New York for work, and they just made me a charge d'affaires when I was in New York. And that was actually kind of a natural thing, because there's a lot of embassies in that area, and I could have potentially, they were talking about me going to the Russian embassy and seeing if we could open up negotiations for a treaty of recognition, which actually would have been a good thing to do, but, they never did give me the go-ahead.
And then we'd have all been considered communists.
I don't know, I suppose.
By the state.
Well, they're already calling us terrorists, so, you know, whatever. But, I don't know. Anyways, I think that, certainly the idea, I think it's a good idea. Certainly, they wouldn't be allowed to vote. You know, and then there gets some gray area. What if they own land in Texas? You know, then that gets even more murky. If they've owned it for more than 6 months, I suppose, I don't know, I would say they could be considered as living here, even though they may be temporarily somewhere else. I've got land in Texas. I've got several parcels, and I'm not planning on selling them. And so, you know, anyways, I think it's a good idea.
You know, it hasn't been stated here that there's a possibility of generating some revenue from signing them up as honorary Texians, and that's something that should be considered. Is charging them a fee to become an honorary Texian. So, anybody else from Congress want to make a comment? And if not, I'm going to give that gentleman who stepped up to the microphone before to
I'll
speak.
give the lady first. And I'll
Okay.
Okay, well, Glenn, I just wanted to say that land, people that own land, whether they're here or not, certainly gets murky. But we'd have to work a bill out.
Okay, you're recognized.
Your name?
My name's,
It's not on.
my name?
And the problem with that, as I see it, is if everything is coming out of that speaker, I believe that the people on the internet are not going to be able to hear that. We'll see.
My name is Karen Richardson. I'm the Director of Education for a national school, and it's part of a 22-year-old organization. So what I'm bringing up here is many wonderful people have come from everywhere, including overseas, for a 3, 6, or 1-year education, and then become citizens or legal residents because they are in an education program. So the organization that I'm part of has already funded overseas students to live and do education courses, and the required course curricula would certainly be Constitution, getting out of the mafia health system into their own health system that deals with common sense and natural law. And I'm just proposing that I belonged to an organization where we have had families come over to learn this curriculum, and it already exists, and so I'm willing to talk about how we make someone a Texian because they're on a scholarship or a grant. We can raise money for tuition for that reason, and I've been involved in that with our board of directors for years and years.
Thank you. Sir, do you want to speak now? I'll ask the question of the people that are on Zoom. Did you hear that last discussion, those last comments? Anybody please respond to that? They couldn't hear it? Yeah, see, they can't hear that.
What if we turn that speaker around, facing forward?
And that microphone's not synced up with.
Well, yeah.
So do we need to give that mic?
Does that have an output on it? Well, we don't have to mess with it now. We'll look into that.
It's got a USB.
Yeah, why don't you use our microphone here?
There is a USB port that we can plug in.
To our
Yeah.
audio system?
Turned on.
It's got to be a long cord.
Okay.
Push it up. There we go. Is that better?
Yeah, got it.
One solution to what y'all are talking about.
Thank you.
Oh, Steve Parnell. I'm from the Midwest originally. Kentucky Colonels is a huge rite of passage for men and women now. It used to be men only. We all know how that went. Anyway, but it's something that you give away to a friend, to a colleague, to someone you respect, to be an honorary Kentucky colonel. Their system's over 100 years old. I mean, my father-in-law was a Kentucky colonel, and he's 85 now, but he received it when he was in his 30s from a colleague in the medical field. It's something you might consider working into your fabric so that it can be an honorary, but a prestigious honorary, as opposed to not just willy-nilly pass it out. So they have a set of guidelines that you can follow. You can look at it online. How do you become one? What do you require? I think it's a good guideline that's been around for a long, long time.
Thank you. I'm thinking in my mind here something like Texas Rangers, but maybe it's Texas Strangers.
Or stranger texting.
Is it? Oh, there it is, okay. So Ann
State
Matola.
your name.
Yep,
Oh,
Ann
okay.
Matola, Travis County. And I just want to just kind of a little bit of caution here. And this is something the Founding Fathers actually ran into with people coming over, and they were actually not committed to the republics. They were committed to bringing what they had overseas into the republics in America. There were a lot of complaints made, especially in Massachusetts. There were tons of complaints made about what they call it, Jesuits and Popish priests, people who were actually coming over to infiltrate, to create problems, etc. And so I'm kind of the opinion, based on my research, that if somebody wants to be a Texian, they should be committed to becoming a Texian and to becoming a Republican, not a democracy or Democrat, that type of thing, Republican, that way. But to actually be a republic citizen instead of a citizenship, which is the territories. So we don't want federal territorial people coming in and trying to create a federal territory from the Republic of Texas. We already got that. It's called the state of Texas. And that is a federal territory. So I appreciate that you all are looking at international law, because definitely we have to abide by their international law because we're part of the international community. But we also want to make sure that those people who join us are committed to what we are committed to.
This has been reflected on, we've talked about it, we already have standing in this. The problem is this, in the international community, because we are not a corporation, they won't talk to us because we are a republic. So we have overstanding on them, and so they do not understand us because we overstand them.
That's correct.
So we've got to be careful in what we do and how we do things, but we've got to make, that's what we've been talking about in the international committee, is we're trying to figure out how to exactly make ourselves known. We're already legitimate, that we already know that. We're already legitimate, but it's a matter of fact of them understanding and accepting that we are legitimate, that we have overstanding on them. So that's what we're working on, is trying to get that all done, along with everything else, like I said, streamlining, making everything seamless to where we can bring the community in with us. That's the whole goal about all of this. Thank you for your time.
I want to recommit to the international committee. Now that I'm not teaching classes at night anymore.
Come on. You want me to send you an invitation?
Yes, please.
I will.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to say something. I just wanted to remind everyone about the Alamo, and if anybody remembers history, we had Tennessee patriots that came to fight on Texas soil and sacrificed their lives for freedom of Texas. Well, mind you, we lost the Alamo, but we won the ultimate war, and Texas is free because Tennessee people were able to come and fight with us. I personally have been speaking to other nation states and patriots in other nation states in Pennsylvania and Missouri and South Dakota and all over the place, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, and people are on fire. And when I tell them what we're doing here in Texas, they are wound up excited, and they are looking to us to be the leaders because we are advanced. We've already prevailed in a lawsuit where the state of Texas sued the Republic of Texas in a common law court. We prevailed. They took it to the Texas Supreme Court. Texas Supreme Court said, this matter has already been decided. We do not have jurisdiction to undo it. We've already won. 1995 that happened. So when other patriots hear that the common law court, that we have the ability to set that up, which we have reinstituted those common law courts here in this building, there's power in it. They can't undo it because you're up against a real Article 3 court versus an Article 1 fiction corporation that's operating securities, selling securities out the back door, operating a fraud. It's a deceptive trade practice on their part. When you know that, you would never want to walk in those doors again, full of Masons sitting up as judges, Masons sitting up as attorneys in the court. It's all a pre-planned outcome. But other patriots from other nation states are looking to us, so we are much more advanced than many other nation states are. So I don't want to close that door to them if they can help on this agenda.
I would just like to say that in my emails I put in there that this YouTube video is brought to you by the Republic of Texas, the last free nation on the planet. Let freedom ring.
Wanting to go along with what you were talking about, the problem is that we got to have people actually go and do the steps we all need to do ourselves. And in order to even begin that conversation that you're approaching, which I really appreciate, but we all got to start getting that education, which Carmen has done a lot, and we've got several people out there, some of them known as the Arizonian on Telegram. He's got great information on about this. There's another guy that does several. Once we find the actual true steps about making the separation, that's where we got to start.
Okay, we're getting off the subject again. Okay, we're getting off the subject. Did you want to speak?
You're supposed to have a microphone.
Well, no, they'll pass it down to you.
I don't know if I'm off subject or not. I have noticed a problem with our our compadres. Yeah, they changed their status. I'm a Texian. Great. Then they want to go play in the sandbox that they just came from, that the cat's been using as a litter box. You know, some of us have found out the hard way, by force really, that we've got to deal in their system a little bit just to defend ourselves. But do we need to be playing in that sandbox that we decided was so rank we needed to leave?
You're right, you're not on the right subject. Okay. But you're making a good point, and that needs to be understood by people. But I'd like to take care of this piece of business, okay?
Well, the subject is dual citizenship, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, but if the subject is dual citizenship for people that are outside of boundaries of Texas.
Well, that's what he's talking about, I thought.
I understand, but he's talking about basically a single citizenship, of that you being a U.S. citizen and a Texian. You can't be both.
I agree.
Okay. And people think, like you said, people think because I registered as a Texian, I'm now a Texian. No, that's not true in the de facto's eyes. Okay. And yes, people got to learn that, and the General Assembly is doing that, teaching people that. So, but we're off the subject. Okay. Now, the question I have for y'all, for members of the House and the Senate, is, do you want us to draft a proposal for honorary citizenship? Can I see a showing of hands of those that are in favor of doing that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Anybody on Zoom that is in the House or the Senate want to vote? I don't know who we have on Zoom because I can't see that screen. Troy hasn't been responding? Okay, Troy's the only one? All right. So, okay, that's what, 7?
Yeah.
All of those that would be opposed to it in the House or the Senate, show me your hand. I don't see one. So we will work toward preparing a resolution for that. Okay? Good. Thank you. Next item. Okay. We've asked the members of the judicial branch to attend this meeting because we want to get the judicial branch up to speed with the rest of us in trying to get freedom and liberty for Texas. And that means getting the common law courts and the General Assembly in place in actually every county of Texas. Now we're distant from that right now as far as the number of judicial offices we have in states. Okay, can I see a showing of hands who is present here from the judicial branch? 1, 2, and Bonnie is 3. Who on Zoom is present?
Trey's got his hands up.
Trey, okay. So we've got 4. That's what, 4 out of actually 9 counting you and Bonnie, right? 4 out of 9. Which is not a quorum, but...
I've served on juries and kind of, so I don't know if I am totally or.
No, this is all with people that hold a office in the Republic of Texas. Okay? They hold an office.
What about, the gentleman right there?
He had his hands raised.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, Carl?
That would be Carl.
Yeah,
That would
Carl.
be
Yeah. We want to get on with the discussion about that, and I believe that Bonnie and Donna are going to lead that discussion. Are you ready? Where'd Bonnie go?
Let Bonnie go, start hers.
She disappeared.
She disappeared. Uh-oh, she knew I was going to ask her to talk, huh?
I don't think she's scared to talk.
No.
Never.
Bruce.
Yes, sir.
Tom Bailey just showed up. He's in Congress, so that's another. He wasn't present.
Okay, so we now have a quorum with Tom Bailey present? Okay. Tom Bailey, can you respond to me? Tom Bailey, can you respond to me on Zoom? My fellow representative from Brazoria County, can you please respond to me on Zoom? That wasn't Tom Bailey, I don't think.
No, but sometimes maybe.
He's got quite a bark.
That sounded more like you, Mr. Bolot.
It sounded more like me. Thank you.
Looks like Tom.
And you'll now be censored, sir.
It looks like Tom tried to respond and it's not coming through.
Is that right?
Can he send a text?
Send a chat message, Tom. Please send a chat message if you're trying to respond and we're not hearing you.
Yep.
Oh, it says they don't have the ability to unmute.
Of course we do.
Well, can you unmute it?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we hear you. Okay, thank you. It was us at this end that had to unmute you. Okay, we got you.
Thanks.
Okay, my question for you is, Tom, we just voted to decide whether we want to have a resolution to address honorary citizenship honorary Texianship. Okay? Would you be in favor of us doing that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one more vote yes. All right. Good. Well, we're going to start on the judicial branch discussion. Okay? So you've got the floor.
Right now?
Huh?
Yeah.
All right, what do I need to talk about?
Well, if you want to come up here, you can run it from here.
It's so nice if I'd have a heads up as to what I'm talking about, so I could be prepared.
Bonnie, we just want to know what we're doing with the drill assembly.
Yeah.
The General Assembly is all about bringing the government to the people locally, right? Not from the DC area or Austin. It's about local people governing their area and their people. We have, in the past, had General Assembly weekly meetings, and that's kind of shifted a little bit because we lost a very valuable clerk. Some storms happened to her, and we lost her, and she was a valuable asset to our team of libertarians. We have to have that reinstated where we are getting on a weekly call. Previously, we did it on Tuesday. We need to get that reinstated. If we have any volunteers that would like, I know Mike did a great job of being the moderator for those calls. And Mike Blackwell is very well seasoned and been a liberty lover for 30 plus years, however long he's been in the trenches fighting this good fight. But Mr. Billy Ford shared some very valuable information with me this morning. I hope he's able to impart that to everyone as a group because I think it's valuable. But we have common law courts up and running. We have common law courts up and running where you can fill out a petition if you've been injured in your liberty. And most all injuries are liberty trespasses, right? Most injuries are, were you damaged in your property rights? Were you damaged in your freedom in some way? Was it done by a state agent, a federal agent? Was it a conspiracy to deprive you where a local civilian worked with the state to deprive you, maybe of your kids, your right of being able to travel freely, whatever it is? I know someone who recently went through TSA and their items were seized. It caused them to miss their flight. They had to go back and then ask for the seized items, and TSA said, no, you gave them to us. And the person said, no, I never gave you anything. You took my property. And they said, too bad. And they laughed and mocked and cursed this person. And yeah, TSA is just another arm. There is a decision that came out of the U.S. Supreme Court in '78 called Monell versus Department of Social Services, that you can sue any corporation for their unconstitutional policies. And those policies don't have to be formal written policies, because those are always nice and beautifully written. It can be their de facto policies. In other words, what's actually done is in contrast to what they have nicely written. So a de facto policy, you have to prove pattern and practice, meaning one or more times. So it allows you to sue the corporations like TSA, like American Airlines, for compelling people through fraud to wear a mask on a plane or in the airport. These are all unconstitutional. If anybody's aware of the 9th Amendment, you have that gap filler amendment of freedoms that is not codified elsewhere is protected underneath the 9th Amendment. People don't know that. You have a right to wear a brown hat, Mr. Wimkin, and you can wear a blue one, Mr. Branham. That's the liberty God gave you. You get to make choices on your own, including whether to wear a mask or not. You cannot be compelled against your free will to do something another man says for you to do. And when they do that, they're compelling you. Without a medical license, they're practicing medicine, right? That's another encroachment on your liberty. I didn't hire you as my doctor. We don't have a contract for me to wear a mask on an airline. So
There's a lot of liberties that we can stand up and protect. We just need to know how. And if you have been injured, you can take it to a common law court. And Mike and Donna and myself are a close nexus of people that are working right here in this building, where we're able to recruit jurors, and hopefully you're willing to serve as one. And the more we're injured, the more we get it, right? We've been injured in some way. The Constitution gets real fast, where you realize how valuable our liberties are because they are holy. They come from God. They don't come from men. Now, mind you, we have a contract with our fellow man through that Constitution that they will uphold our God-given liberties, endowed by our Creator, right? It's a spiritual document, that Constitution. So our liberty is holy because it comes from God. Our liberty was given to us. We are created by God. Our liberties are given to us by God. So we will uphold that in a common law court, and we have means of enforcing it. There are very unique remedies that I found in both the Civil Practices and Remedy Code, Chapter 35 and 36, which is called the Uniform Foreign Judgment Enforcement Act. I'll say it again for anybody taking notes. It's codified in Civil Practices and Remedies Code, Chapter 35 and 36, the Uniform Foreign Judgment Enforcement Act. It's also found in the Federal Code Book underneath their administrative codes under 28 USC, which stands for U.S. Code 2467. And it's also the same law passed by Congress, the Uniform Foreign Judgment Enforcement Act. This is codified both at state and federally. Why is that important to us? Because we are foreign to the corporation. We are the real de jure government. It's foreign to the corporation because we are not a part of the corporation, right? That's what makes us foreign to it. And for those of you who are serving in office as a foreign diplomat, Mr. Rudd, you may not know this, but it's valuable to you. You have special protections underneath that federal code book as a foreign diplomat. If you serve in office for the Republic of Texas, you are protected in your property, in your transportation rights, in your office, from freedom from seizure, coercion, harassment, duress, and all kinds of other things. And you can read these codes for yourself because these codes protect you as a foreign diplomat. 18 USC 11, which defines a foreign diplomat. 18 USC 112, which also defines the diplomatic status and the additional protections of the diplomat, and then 18 USC 1116, which calls it an absolute criminal act for them to harm you or to harm your liberty interests and your property and your transportation and your ability to go to work and do your business as a foreign diplomat. So having said that, for those of you in the audience that are not serving in an official capacity, we do have a lot of seats open, and we welcome you to put a petition in and run for office because you will have additional protections underneath that foreign diplomatic status. And I'll list those codes again. In their code book, 18 USC 11, 18 USC 112, 18 USC 1116. I encourage you to run for office and be covered additionally in the foreign protections underneath foreign diplomatic status. That's all I have to say unless somebody wants to ask me any questions.
All right, Donna, do you have any comments?
No, we had a
Microphone.
we have had a held court a couple of times. We have held court and we have gotten a judgment and we are running it, filing it where it needs to be filed. We're still going through the process. and we will be giving people updates. And so we will know exactly what we need to do as we progress forward.
Just to add to what Donna and Bonnie said, we have judgments in common law court. We're running it through a process. We believe these judgments can be enforced through the Foreign Judgment Act by their courts and their law enforcement. But we need to go through the process. The other thing is we're working on selling or monetizing those judgments. So I believe these judgments are valuable, and as we have success upon enforcement, our common law courts are going to be very busy. These common law courts are for Texians only, not U.S. citizens. So there's reasons for that. U.S. citizen has no rights. So I encourage any of you U.S. citizens to become Texians. But just filling out the application, I mean, that is an affidavit, and you are a Texian. And in that affidavit, you state that you are expatriating as a United States citizen. You still have, by birthright, you are an American. And you are part of the United States unincorporated, just by birthright. So, all you're doing is getting rid of the U.S. corporation citizenship. There's a process which many people have discussed about getting these your status changed within the system. We're having a future speaker, probably several, discussing on how to do that. And there are many of us actually working on changing our status, and people are doing their own way that they perceive correct, and there's a lot of ways to do it, I believe. But we have to get our status change recognized by the corporation. And there's a process of doing that. And I think Frank Snell has a friend that's done it. Hopefully we'll get him as a speaker. We know people who have done it successfully. And so we're all in the process. And I think with Senator Rudd's live streaming of various speakers, we will start educating a lot of people, start recruiting a lot of people. I think with Senator Fern's efforts on his websites and Republic of Texas websites, we are educating and we are recruiting. We are working on other seminar speakers, special events. And so it's actually a pretty exciting time for the Republic of Texas. I see a lot of growth, and I see freedom and liberty coming. But we have to stand up, be truthful, honest, peaceful, and because we'll win by just doing the education. That's end of my comments. You want to speak again?
The reason that we talk about status so much, and the reason you need to change your status, is because their code book in USC 81101 A21 gives us the right to change our status. And that's what is required of us, so that we will not be considered U.S. citizens, which is a corporate citizen, which is their slave. So, anyway.
Would you repeat that?
8 USC 1101, A2, 21, A21. Is that what you want me to repeat?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. I just want to let you know why we're talking about that. Yes, Richard?
Let me get you a microphone. It's on.
What the people need to recognize is we were made corporations without our knowledge by the United States government.
Amen. Amen.
Anything done under fraud is null and void. Marbury versus Madison, 1803. That's all you got to write. You can record that and just file your statement in the clerk's office. And I think that's clear.
I have a question. I know you all are following the political agenda that's going on publicly.
Open microphone, please.
I know you're all following what's going on politically in our country. What I see happening and what I hear from the intel, it's not in the public domain, on the internet, is that the USA Corp is bankrupt, and that when the SARA gets implemented, it's gone. Now, my question is, how does that affect what we're trying to do with the Republic of Texas and becoming a Texian? If that's going to be gone, and that living by that Constitution that was set up, that was fraudulent back in the 1870s, does that support what this is doing? Do we need to go through all these steps to become independent, so to speak? And when the USA Corp is going to be gone, it is almost gone. It will be very soon. So that's my big question, to understand how that works with what we're trying to do.
I'd like to, I got so much. Gary,
I want to take this one on.
okay, I'm going to comment after.
Okay, you're hitting one of my favorite topics, and while we believe this may be happening, there are still huge question marks of whether or not it will or will not. Right now, this last week, we just got notified of the corporation is now extending their own personal police force to California, Florida. So if they're doing that big of a move, everything about Gasara comes into question. If it does come through, actually the Republic of Texas will even have a greater standing, as we are the first and only original republic out there. So everybody's going to be looking to us in order to know how to do this, because we're the first, we're the last. So that whole concept, while I pray for it to come true, and am looking at that one constantly at a regular basis, but we'll have a better standing because we've already got this formed right here. And as long as this is staying informed and up to date, then we will have a greater standing over everybody else.
Thank you. I'd like to comment on that. Go ahead, ma'am.
Well, I just want somebody to repeat this.
Microphone.
Thank you for addressing that. Help me understand what you mean by when you say we will have a better standing.
Because the reason why is because we're already a republic. We already represent the people that choose to be represented. See, that's the whole concept behind a republic, is that you have to want to have us, well, right now we're all volunteers, and trying to represent people, but we don't have anybody behind us. And that's the reason why I'm going to be honest right now. This is one of the best turnouts we've ever had, and since I've been here. And I want to thank every last one of you for being here. But it's a matter of you going out now and getting 3, 5, 10 people in your local community to understand and want to come here and do that, so that this can be bolstered up as the true republic. And we've talked about it, and we're standing constantly being known that we're the only republic in the world. And so that kind of knowledge
with that Nasara supposedly coming in, because that's for the corporations and the individuals that work corporations that we're talking about how we've been deceived by fraud. So that whole concept is where we get to be the standing of everybody looking to us on how to operate in the new world. And not the new world order, just the new concept. Got to clarify all that.
I'd like to comment on that.
And there's others before her, okay? You've got somebody here waiting, that's been waiting.
A lot of us follow the intel you're talking about, and we're all very hopeful. The reality is, it is not reality yet. The reality is, there's a giant battle for America, because however America goes, the world goes. And the reality is, however Texas goes, is how America goes.
Amen.
So we have a responsibility and a duty to step up and act like living men and women, God-fearing, and operate the only real republic government on planet Earth. I'm grateful to guys like Senator Branham and others who brought the Republic of Texas back to life in 1995. And I've learned a lot since I've been here. But I've been on this road a long time, and I believe this is the place to be if you're committed to standing in truth, standing up for God, standing up for freedom, liberty, and honor. And all of us here, we're working hard. We need assistance. We need help. And we're going to get it by getting on the media, doing the educational seminars, etc. People are joining. And there are some great new people here. So, Council, okay, go ahead.
Well, before I hand this mic to Ann, I want to say I've been thinking about what you've been thinking about, is why do we need to go change our status when this is going to be changing to the Republic of the United States of America? Why do we need to do that? Because that's not going to happen overnight. We're going to go through a very rough period where we're going to be attacked by the one world government folks every which way they can. And so we need to proceed with doing this because we don't know how that's going to turn out. We don't know how it's going to turn out.
So I just wanted to give you all a warning because I study the financial side of things as well. So if the U.S. corporations, and there's several of them, there's not just one, if they subsume, they're going to subsume into the United Nations Corporation, okay? And we are going to go from the dollar base to special drawing rights, which are called SDRs. And when we go to SDRs, that means that you have to be vaccinated, you have to do everything the government tells you so that you can actually purchase food, purchase shelter, purchase all of that, okay? So the importance of status, anytime that you go into one of their courts, which are corporate courts, there is a presumption that you are a U.S. citizen. If you do not correct your status, it means you are not an adult. In their system, you are either an infant or you are incompetent. And therefore, you must have an attorney, somebody to speak for you. Okay? So if you do not establish your status, however you want to do it, there are a number of ways of doing it. When becoming a Texian, if you're really backing this cause of being a republic, and remember that the republic is actually the Republic of Rome, not the United States. We had 13 colonies, that was 13 republics, and their authority is founded in our original 3 documents. We're really not sure the Constitution was properly ratified. So under the Articles of Confederation, all of the alliances you need between all of the 50 republics that we have right now are cemented in the Articles of Confederation. But you don't want to wait to declare your status. And remember, people declare, we don't plead. We are not asking the government for something. We declare we're there, they are our employees, okay? The Constitution is a contract for them for 19 enumerated powers that we gave them to help us internationally from the very beginning. I don't think that was meant to stay forever, okay? So be careful, and always, 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 the first 12 articles in the original Article 13 belonged to us, the people. They were enumerated and they were taken from the Articles of Confederation, and there was concern with the Constitution that those would be degraded over time, and that's exactly what's happened. Okay? So don't get excited about the U.S. corporations going away. They already have the replacement. They talked about Agenda 21. Obviously that didn't happen, so they put us in COVID instead. Okay? And they found out that half the country was willing to just follow orders, and the other half of the country went, no way, you and what authority? Okay? So we're still divided in half, and it's going to be a battle for hearts and minds because people have been brought up on belief. We were brought up in older generations where we research what they're telling us. We don't believe what they say. Okay? We are questioning them, and if you noticed in the last election, the thing that took the greatest hit was the First Amendment. You can no longer disagree with the government. Okay? That's a problem. All right? So just, again, follow the money. We're watching gold fluctuate right now. We know that that's actual money. That's the actual species. What they have is what's called currency, water. Okay? And it's just like water. If you take out a dollar bill, it's worth about less than 4 cents. Okay, on a dollar. All right. So again, just be careful of and again, I can't stress enough, your status is key. Okay. Whatever way that you do that. I followed Anna von Reitz and did her status as far as that's concerned. I have my authenticated birth certificate. I have double-digit warrants out now for my arrest. I've been stopped numerous times over the last 3-4 years, never once been arrested. They have not been able to haul me bodily in because the presumption has already been rebutted. I do not contract with these people. I do not show up at court. I'm about to get 2 judges bounced from their benches because they put in judgments against me. And they already knew I was a people and not a U.S. citizen. So again, please, 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 if you're not already a Texian and you're really backing our Republic cause, definitely do that today.
Thank you, Ann.
I have a little insider trait, kind of, for you. If you've heard of David Strait, he goes around the country and speaks about changing your status. And we've got a promoter that came here. David Strait did a seminar here in this building back in March, and there's a promoter that's trying to get us together. Another nation state has requested both Bonnie and David teach. I feel a little overwhelmed because I feel like David's here and Bonnie's here, but yet they requested both of us. David reached out to me this week, and he told me some things about Nasara and Jasara going on, and I want to play that because I recorded a snippet of that conversation. I want you to hear it with your own ears, what David said, because he's on the inside. He gets a whole lot more intel than Bonnie Thomas does. I want you to hear him real quick, okay? Here we go. This is David.
Conversation with the world bankers. I had Princess Booba online, and I had Daniel, the Spring royalty, and head of the European Bank, Federal Reserve, Federal World Bank, European World Bank. He was on the line, and they got 2 presidents from South American countries on the line, and they announced to those 2
Which countries were they?
They mentioned, I forgot, Bolivia. I think Bolivia was one. One of those other South American nations. Anyway, seven days from today, they're going to release one of the other larger spiritual divine accounts. And they're going to pay off the debts of all the countries, starting a little at a time. Of course, they're going to pay off the countries that are in the worst shape, where the people are poorest, and pay all those off probably next week, and then follow that with the rest of the countries. But the global currency reset is on. It's done. It's being taken care of right now.
Wow.
So we can have all mortgages paid off very, very quickly.
Wow.
And with this information, it's one of the things you really don't want to be in the middle of the divorce with it. Because
And the rest gets a little, just between he and I on some stuff I'm dealing with personally. But I wanted to share that information with you because David was on a call. He called me, what day was it? It was on the 9th? No. What day did I record that call? It was on the 9th. Today's the 10th. No, he had called me on the 8th. He had called me on the 8th, so it was a few days ago. He shared that information with me. So debt is being wiped out. They have to do that, right? These trust accounts, they're accessing and paying off all. It's to set us free, but there's also a thrust to put us on a dollar, where it's a one world money system, where it's dollar for dollar. So if you have invested in foreign currency, like many people have, and you bought Vietnamese dong, which is 23,000 dong to the $1, and it's reset dollar for dollar, you just made a lot of money. Because especially if you have lots of dong or dinar or zim or some of these other foreign currencies that you could buy real cheap. And that's how a lot of very wealthy men got wealthy, was to buy foreign currency, and then when it reset, they were very wealthy. So there's lots of good and exciting things happen, especially our debts being wiped away, our mortgages, all that debt being gone, credit card debt, automobile debt, everything being wiped away and being set free from the economic slave system. Because they have enslaved us with debt. And little do we know, when we go get a bank loan for a mortgage, and I'm a realtor by trade, right? I have not known until just recently that when a couple goes in to buy a home, and the first document the title company puts in front of them is a promissory note, as soon as they sign, that title agent will disappear and say, "I'll be right back," and they send it to the Federal Reserve, and the funds fund immediately from your own account that you don't know you have, that has millions, if not billions, set aside for you in it. It's your money. So it funds, and then the title company will put a contract in front of you to pay back that money to a lender that never had the money to begin with. It was your money. So really all mortgages are fraud. But anyway, all that's about to be wiped away. And that's very exciting news. So I'm glad that David is a friend of the Republic of Texas. Hopefully we can get him back to Texas soon to do another teaching session. And have you guys come and learn more about correcting your status, how to do it quickly, how to stand on your liberty. And God bless Texas.
Does David have a website?
He does.
What is it?
I'll get it to you.
Okay.
I don't have it memorized.
All right, thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Des.
So, my name is Destiny Holman. I honestly forgot what I was going to say earlier, but I just want to say I want to get involved, and I had to do with the weekly meetings they were doing. That was my question. But I also just want to know how to change my status and how I want to get involved. So that's really, I forgot my original question. So.
Okay, thank you. We'll get you an application, and then we'll work on the other items. Okay.
Anybody else? You're the last.
Okay, you're the last one, Mr. Snell.
I just really want to, is this home?
Nope.
I just want to give a little encouragement speech that came to me while we were listening to everyone. A ragtag group of people, farmers, tradesmen, etc., frontiersmen, they took on the world's largest, most well-trained, well-funded military government and machine in the world at the time and won. That was the United States, or actually America, as we originally know it. We may be a little bit of a ragtag bunch of people, but I tell you what, when you've got the right on your side, it makes a lot of difference. And I think we need to be encouraged, even though we're a small group, even though we don't have a lot of resources, if we're doing the right thing with the right purpose for God's people, then we have, what does the scripture say? You and God are a majority. And if any two of you agree about anything, it'll be done. And there's another that one will put 1,000 flight, two will put 10,000 flight. I think that progression, 3 puts 100,000 a flight. If we are in agreement about what it is that we're doing with the right purpose and with the truth behind us, then how many can we put down and fulfill the purpose? And fulfill the purpose that I believe we have a destiny to do. And I just wanted to say that as a matter of encouragement to all of us, because we look like a small group, and some of us look a little ragtag sometimes and act that way too. But the people that brought this country into existence were the same types, and they defeated the greatest military government funded group in the world and won liberty for us, which allowed us to become the greatest nation in history. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, Senator Rudd, you are the last one. We got to finish this agenda here.
Just real quick, I just posted on Facebook an article that I had found that was sent to me, that they asked the Japanese that bombed Pearl Harbor, they could have come into America and we couldn't have stopped them until we got to the Mississippi. And they said, why didn't you do it? He said, because all of the citizens were armed and we were afraid of them. We have the biggest army there is on this globe. We must keep our own eye.
And every one of you is part of the militia, and that includes we women. Just saying. We are the militia.
My wife is licensed to carry, and she carries. Let me tell you, you don't want her having to pull that pistol out.
And we are one nation under God. So, moving on to the next item on the agenda. We need to make sure we collect the dues from every congressman and senator. If each one of you would coordinate with Donna Cartwright, sitting over here, she'll collect the funds. We accept public donations. We're trying to raise money to promote the Republic of Texas. So if you find it in your heart to donate, it is appreciated. Contact Donna Cartwright. Mr. Bola, you want over here?
Well,
Or you want to sit over there?
well, I like to sit in front of my computer. We've been moving you all around today.
Okay.
Well, I want to make a comment since I kind of pushed to have the judicial branch meet here today, that one of the things I hope that you would conclude in your meeting today is how you all can work together and communicate and have meetings, if not physical, Zoom meetings where you all discuss what kind of problems, how you're dealing with getting the General Assembly and the common law court in place in your county or in your judicial district. And so I would hope that you all get together maybe after lunch and have that discussion. Okay, we've got a national election coming up in September. And the due date to have your document in as a candidate for elected office was the end of June. We are allowing for people that want to run for office that have their Texian documentation in, or if they want to submit it at the same time, to submit their candidates form and their Texian affidavit, to do that today here, and Mr. Ford will accept those from you. And anybody that thinks they may want to run for office and they want to discuss it with somebody, anybody that's with the Republic of Texas in the Congress or in the Senate, in the House or the Senate, or in particular the executive, just ask them any question you want during lunch, okay? Because we want to make sure that we start growing, and I'd like to have some new representatives in that's going to come to meetings. Because as you can see, we can't get anything done unless we get together and start talking. And we're having a very successful meeting today because of that. And if you're serious about wanting to do something, it's time to get yourself in elected office. Now, there's another thing that you can do. You can volunteer. Mr. Ford, our president, is here taking the minutes for this meeting. Mr. Ford has many other things to do, but because he's done such a good job of doing the minutes, we often go back to him and ask him to do it because nobody else will volunteer for it. We need somebody at each of these meetings to volunteer to take the minutes, okay? And taking the minutes simply means writing up what you're hearing, and if you're smart, you'll have a recorder to record the meeting so that you can go and clean up your minutes. You want to interrupt me, or can you wait?
I'll let you finish, and
Okay.
I want to speak, though.
Okay, good. And so, to actually help us out, we're fully ungainfully employed. Okay, we are fully ungainfully employed doing our jobs as Texian government. And we need help to take care of paperwork, things like that, we have a difficult time finding the time to do that. So we would appreciate it if people would start stepping up and helping out. But again, you can also run for office. And don't say, well, I don't know anything about it, because nobody here knew anything about it. Nobody here knew a thing about doing this. I did not know anything other than what I learned from the JCs way back when on how to run a meeting, okay? When I say way back when, I'm talking about way back when, okay?
Back in the Stone Age?
Back in the Stone Age.
Watch out now, watch out.
Okay, I will give you the floor since you made that comment.
Well, I would just like to say that there are a lot of open positions. You go on the Republic of Texas website, thetexasrepublic.com, and you will see there's let me see if I can find it. But anyways, there's a lot of open positions, things like county clerks, judges. There's a lot of open positions, and some of them require a lot of time. Like if you're going to be, especially the House of Representatives, that one requires a huge amount of work. The Senate is a little bit less. That's why I like the Senate. But there's a lot of them that require almost no work. And so everybody has their time. We all want a life, quite frankly, and that's one of the things that I get on them from time to time, because I want a life too. And so sometimes you get on all these committees and stuff like that, and it's to the point you almost don't have a life anymore. And so we all have things that we have to do, and we have to decide how much time we want to spend with it, how much we can contribute, and pick a job that you can do that is going to require the amount of time that you're prepared to make available. That was the only thing I wanted to say. Now, but, you know, we all have to do something. You know, we cannot, this is a war of good versus evil, and we're going to have to pick a side. And so I agree with what Bonnie was saying. Everybody's on the posse. But I'm hoping if enough people stand up and say no, well, then their game's up. And I'm hoping that it doesn't come to what they call kinetic warfare, where we have to bring our arms. One thing about that recently, I've read how there are more arms in the hands of the American people than there are in every other military on the planet combined. So, again, I hope it doesn't come to that. And the only way it doesn't come to that is we tell our friends and neighbors, we become involved, even in a small way, but we become involved. And we get our friends and neighbors involved in ways that they can contribute. You know, that's all I wanted to say.
Go ahead.
I have two things, Bruce.
I'm sorry.
Point of order.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Agenda 12 was never voted on. We had a great long discussion and then just passed to number 13.
Well, there was nothing to make a motion on. It was presented by them.
Just looking at your agenda.
Okay. Well, if they don't make a motion, it doesn't mean anything, right?
Well, what exactly?
But thank you for trying to correct me.
Does somebody want to make a motion?
I'm glad you're observant. Thank you.
Sometimes. The second thing is I would like to bring up the topic of there being a prohibition against an ordained minister serving as an officer in the Republic.
Go ahead.
Well, I can't say much more than that. Ordained ministers are locked out of the process. They can't participate. They can't be an officer. There's something wrong with that. Those are the people that need to keep the balance spiritually.
Who made that rule?
It's in
In
the
the
Constitution.
I was informed of that, and I believe that needs to be changed immediately.
I make a motion that we change it immediately. I second it. Can't do that.
Can't just change it immediately.
It's a constitutional,
Well, we may not be able to do it immediately, but we need to change it through the lawful process of changing the Constitution apparently. But this is a spiritual battle we're in, and we need spiritual leaders.
Yes.
I make a motion that we put that on the ballot for this September.
That's not the way you do it.
Wait a minute.
That's the process.
Let's have a little bit of discussion here, and first of all, I would like either Mr. Ford or Mr. Branham to address why they are prohibited, so that people know why they're prohibited.
Well, one of the main reasons is they report to a higher level of life and everything else. And being an officer may tie them down to things that doesn't fit exactly with the Lord and what He's issuing. That would be my main thought on it. But changing, amending the Constitution is not an overnight job. That's about 1.5 years.
Mr. Ford, would you like to add anything to that?
Mr. Branham is exactly right. The reason that ministers weren't offered that position is because their calling is much higher than ours. And it would take them away from, possibly take them away from their duty to God to put us over them. And that was why that was that way. It's very important that we have those people to ministers to direct the people and give the people guidance. One of the problems we have in our churches today is our preachers don't stand up and say, don't vote for that guy, he's a crook, and our government's going to hell in a handbasket if you vote that way. Amen. They should have the freedom to do that. Our churches today are 501c, not all of them. A lot of them are 501c3s, and you can't speak anything that's contrary to government policy. And so they're hamstrung, they're tied. And if you do that, then the government comes in and takes over all the church property. That's all of it. Southern Baptist and Missionary Baptist and a lot of other churches or members, they have this 501c3 because they're tax exempt entities. That's what that was all about. But that's not the only thing they did. They got our preachers by the throat when they did that. We don't have preachers that preach the way they used to. So that calling was reserved for preachers. And about the amended Constitution, it can't come from you guys. It can't come from us. It has to come from the people. We might can write it, maybe, but the people have to vote on that. So that, and it can't be done in this session. It goes to the next session, and so the next Congress will have to do that. But everybody needs to know what that is before it's even offered for vote. So that's a long process. If you're going to change, and that's not just that, that's any part of the Constitution.
I would argue that we should not take what has been done by the United States as far as separation of church and politics, or church and government, okay? I would suggest that we don't let that be our guide. Secondly, I would ask Mr. Ellis if he has a rebuttal.
I understand everything y'all said, but is that not in fact a man telling a servant of God that he can't do something? That's kind of a violation right there. If a person has a heart to serve, then they ought to be allowed to serve. If they're split between serving God and serving the Republic, then they have some heart searching to do. Probably need to spend some time on their knees, but it's their decision. It shouldn't be anybody else's.
I'm in agreement with Congressman Ellis. if I remember my history, the 90% of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were evangelists, preachers, pastors. So our churches have been infiltrated in America and throughout the world by communists. It's in their communist plank. And so our religions here in the United States, the reason why they're so weak is they don't teach the living Word of God, which is Scripture. They've watered it down, and it's a big business model. So we need, most of the people I met here are very strong Bible believers. We all, we don't all have to agree on everything. It really don't matter, but we're all Bible believers, and I think it's a mistake to not allow ministers of the gospel in the government. That sounds to me like some
communist
New World Order communist agenda. And so anyway, I would encourage us to work on the amendment to the Constitution, and we need to do it the proper way, as President Ford and Senator Branham stated. You have, would you like to comment?
Hey.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I just wanted to compound on, piggyback on what you were saying, Mike. I believe that was in there to neuter the spiritual influence. How that got added, we don't know. But every single one of us is a minister of the gospel. Every single one of us, Scripture tells us, is a temple of the Holy Spirit. We are the church. It's not a pretty edifice sitting on a hilltop, a building. That's not a church. It's we, the people, are the church. Those of us that are created in the image of the living God, we were created for a purpose, and it was to honor and glorify Him in everything we do. That's why we have to be careful, because we are ministers, and people are looking to us, and if we profess one thing, and then we're cursing out of our mouth the very next moment because there's a traffic incident that makes us angry, are we really being good representatives? So we have to be careful on what we say, we do, we think, how we conduct ourselves in public and in private. Even in our homes, we are to be ministers to our home and family members. But I believe that it is the highest of callings, and every single one of us has got to take it serious, because this is a God-ordained movement of godly, God-fearing people who love our Lord and Savior. This is not by accident that you even came here today. God led you here because you're hungry for truth. Where do we find truth? In His Word. He tells us that. He is the truth. He is the light. I believe that definitely needs to change. That we've got to have, now mind you, there could be danger in somebody bringing in a false religion with the intent to take over. I mean, there's always that danger, but if people are sincere in their walk with the Lord, you can tell. We want ministers, godly men who are standing on their feet. In what war was it? Was it the Revolutionary War, where the pastors had the guns in the churches, had the militia? Yeah.
It was a revolution.
The Revolutionary War.
Absolutely.
Right. The pastors were God-fearing men. Me personally, I'm 100% invested, right? I will die on my feet before I live on my knees.
Right on.
I am not afraid to die because I know where my end result is, and I have a mansion in heaven waiting for me. So I don't fear standing up for each and every one of you, even if it were to cost me my life. Just so you know where I stand.
The men on Lexington Common that were gunned down by the British, those were the local ministers and elders deacons in the churches.
So, Mr. Ford, President Ford and Senator Branham, can you just give us an overview of a process we need to go through to amend the Constitution, or can you point us somewhere to figure it out?
You cannot delete words in the Constitution. You amend them. Okay? And even though that amendment states what you want to state, you cannot delete those other words. Because the people are the ones that drew that Constitution up. So, yes, most definitely they gotta approve this or you don't go anywhere. Because everything we do has got to come from the people.
Agree.
Okay. First, somebody's got to, you want an amendment, somebody's got to write it up, what you want. Since the process takes quite a while to get through, even after the people vote yes or agree to it, then the next Congress, after they do that, has to approve what the people did. In other words, put it in the Constitution. Even though they order it done, we got to do it. I'd like to tell y'all, some of you may not remember studying when the people from Tennessee and all that come over here to fight in Alamo and all that, and they were given land as they come in 640 acres. They were given these people, but only if they became a Catholic and they married a Catholic woman.
Won't you make
Okay.
a move?
That was the church telling the people what to do. That otherwise they didn't get any land. So you normally put the church in position that we could have somebody come in from even a different religion and start moving toward telling people what they can and can't do. You got to think about what you're writing.
Wait a minute. We in the Congress of the Republic of Texas can't tell the people what to do. We in the Republic of Texas, constitutional government, cannot tell the people what they can do. So how does that affect that disallowance of a man of God, of a minister, from serving in this body?
Doesn't.
It doesn't. That's right.
Write it
And
up.
what would be the penalty for someone being in this government that is a minister, that is a preacher? What would be the penalty?
I probably wouldn't say a word.
You wouldn't say a word.
If we
Mr.
put one
Ford,
in office, I wouldn't.
what
say
would be the
nothing.
penalty?
I don't know that there'd be a penalty, but I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have freedom of religion? in
Yes.
Texas? You do? This Constitution doesn't say that. The Constitution says you have
Freedom of your choice.
Every man has the freedom to worship God to the dictates of his own heart. Look
Right.
it up. It's
Right.
there.
Right.
Now, there are other religions that have something else besides God. And
Yeah, but is
common
that
religions-
just another word for God? Is it just another word for God in their language?
I don't think so. What about
Nope.
Buddha? What about Confucius? And what about Muhammad? There's a difference between, there's not going to be any Baptist, and I'm a Baptist but by choice here on earth. I'm a Baptist, but there's not gonna be any Baptists in heaven. Did y'all know that?
Amen.
I knew that.
So I won't.
No, there's not.
I won't see you.
Heaven will be full of Christians, but it's not gonna be full of Baptists. That's not gonna get me to heaven. Being a Christian will be though. So there's a difference between a religion and Christianity. It's totally different. There's a difference between having a freedom of religion and worshiping God to the dictates of your own heart. It was a long time before I caught that. But since then, I've hung my hat on it, and those guys are pretty smart to do that. And I yield. I'm going to Karen for talk here.
Miss Karen?
My name is Karen Richardson. I was ordained the 10th of January 2004 as an interfaith minister in order to minister to all faiths worldwide wherever I am called to go. I personally am a Christian. Jesus Christ is my Savior and my Redeemer. My work has been to restore faith and hope and lift people out of despair when there is someone who has passed in a hospital or a family system. Now, I'm also a historian, so I know that over 500 years ago, and actually probably 1,000 years ago, the whole controversy that is involved in this conversation has to do with how did the cut between church and state happened. It was Descartes and the church saying, churches, you take their souls and you have to get permission to get to heaven, which was this conversation about nobody who's a Baptist can get to heaven. But you take their souls and they have to go by your church to get to heaven. And Descartes says, we're going to take the body and the logic and the science, and we get to control the medical mafia. Either side is involved. So I honor all that's happening, but you're not going far enough back in history to see how darkness divided all of us in terms of who gets to take our body and who gets to take our soul or our mind. And so my first question to Glenn or anyone, is there a need for a administrator or minister over health, like in the United States there is someone looking over the national health of the country? Who is doing that? And let's see if I can offer running for that position if that position exists. So I want to thank you all and just go back far enough in history because my goal is to address the fact that the Rockefellers and all of the people in the darkness over the last 2 centuries have changed the script of how all medical doctors are taught, so that they're using drugs instead of natural methods to get well. And I've been the director of education for a medical school that teaches natural laws. And I moved to Texas because I said, God, where do you want me, where I can work with people who were part of making this happen? And I ended up in a strange land called Texas. And I'm wanting to sign up as a Texian and do what I can involving all of that. So, thank you.
Darren?
Okay, quick point, 'cause I think everybody's missing the whole point. The key word is ordained. That's state affiliated, certification, regulation.
No, it isn't.
What it says right here.
I don't care what it says.
Okay.
God ordains you, you're ordained.
You just be a minister. Minister. There you go.
If they co-opt a word, doesn't mean we have to go along with it.
We need microphone.
Wait, I got to recognize you.
Senator Rudd.
Well, you know, I'm not a Bible thumper, but you know, when we go back to Moses, Moses actually was in charge of all of them and led all of them and led that nation. It was one nation under God. And he was the leader like our president is, And when he got out of line with God, I'll tell you, God got right in his case about it. So he had to be a godly man to do what he did, and he had to be listed to God. In fact, he was listed to God when he was told to do this. I mean, he was 80 years old when God told him, go lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. So I presume he was a pretty strong minister. I mean, I know what we're saying, but I think he was, So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. That's going back to the Old Testament.
Okay, we've got to end this discussion, but Mike, I'm going to let you have the last word.
Darren wants to speak.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't know that, Darren.
I just wanted to make one quick comment here. It says that he can't serve because he's of a higher calling. What's to say that his calling isn't to serve the people? I yield.
According to the discussion from my esteemed colleagues, I'm entitled to believe and serve my God any way I see fit. But the Republic says I can't. That seems to be flying in the... it's fighting itself. If, in other words, I can believe any way I want, but if I'm a minister, I can't serve. So is that not religious discrimination? Is the Constitution not fighting itself in that regard?
I think it is, but we're going to have to shut this discussion down for now as we prepare to go to lunch and hear Randy Kelton speak.
So a minister can't serve the Republic?
I think you're an existing congressman, and you can continue to do that until we resolve the issue.
Okay, well, I guess that'll have to work for
Or
me.
at least that's my opinion. The president may have a different one.
Present a bill to amend the Constitution.
All right. Yeah, so we got a couple congressmen submit a bill like Mr. Fern said.
Because we do have other agendas, I am actually going to make a motion that we table this discussion for later, and then I make a motion that we dismiss for lunch so that we can start the afternoon session.
I'll second.
Say I'll second. Or third.
well, a comment here is that we are at the end of the agenda. People filling out their paperwork. Except for people filling out their paperwork for election, okay, if they want to be candidates. But I think we can go into recess here with ending this session of Congress and go to the afternoon session where we're going to be having a guest speaker here. Okay, Mr. Branham?
I'd like to make one short announcement. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I sent out a couple of documents that I wrote this. Some of them years, one of them's years ago and one of them not very far back. There's been several people that really like what I told them. What this does for a new person, you can see where we came from, where the Republic of Texas came from, and why that we are lawfully what we're doing. If anybody would like these, if you give me your name and your county and your email, I will send these to you.
I like them.
Okay.
Yeah.
You get my email?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I sent these out there.
Nah, probably haven't. I just have to go back and look.
Okay, we have a motion to recess. Is there a second to that motion?
I second it.
Second by Senator Rudd. Any comments?
I think we ought to be very grateful that all these people showed up.
Well,
That's the comment I would make.
before I call for a vote, will somebody give us a closing prayer for this session?
The preacher ought to do that.
I'll be happy.
You'll be happy?
I'll be happy.
Okay, very good.
If you will, please bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, hallowed be thy name. We come to you today thanking you for this opportunity to learn about government and its restrictions on our free souls to serve you and only you, Heavenly Father. We ask at this time that you will bless the group of people here as we watch lunch, that we are all carried safely. We ask, Father, that you forgive us of our sins, for we are sinful in nature. We strive to walk in your light as your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, did. Please at this time guide us in our steps so we may be lights to others around us. We pray all this in Yeshua HaMashiach's blessed name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, we are in recess to go to lunch. Now, I will ask you all to please be back here by 1:30. An hour doesn't seem to be enough. I'm going to give you an hour and 15 minutes. In other words, yeah, 1:15.
Please be back here by 1:15. We're going to start without you if you're not back. We will start without you if you're not back.
Okay, now on a personal note, real quick, in order to help me be out of the bond system,
For those of you